What's up, YouTube family? And on today's episode of Keeping It Real Politics, we're talking about defend or defund the police. And as with most issues in today's society, there seems to be a failure of people to understand nuance and the oversimplification of very complex issues and try to turn it into bumper sticker politics. And defend or defund the police is an example of that, in that it's a very complicated issue that people try to put into a very overly simplified solution, and it needs to be more nuanced than what they're allowing for. And so, first of all, let's talk about defending the police. There seems to be a certain segment of the population, and let's call them far right wingers, that always want to say obey the law. If you obey the law, then everything's going to be just fine. Well, in today's society, though, we see the fallacy of that argument, because we've seen countless examples. If you turn on the news any single day, you'll see examples of police abusing their authority and and having the failure to be held accountable for that. Because at the end of the day, if you're a police officer, you're entrusted by the public, because you're being paid on the taxpayer's dime, to uphold the law and to arrest people. And you have a badge, you have a gun, you have a certain amount of authority that other people do not have. So with that power comes a responsibility to wield that power responsibly. And when police show, and the thing is, police have always taken liberties that other people wouldn't, that because other people don't have that ability to. There are many police throughout the history of time that have abused their authority. The only difference is, in today's society, people have the ability to film what police are doing. So it's not that rogue cops are just a new phenomenon. It's just being filmed now, so people can see it. And so what we're thinking about as a society is, how do we reform police departments so that people who do not deserve a badge, they not only are not police officers anymore, but they also serve jail time. So the people that say defend the police, they do so thinking obey the law and you'll be fine, as if all police officers are law-abiding citizens, just want to do a good job. Yes, there are plenty of police officers who fit that bill, that are just trying to do a job, trying to do the best job they can, protect their community, and go home to their families every single night. Yes. So again, when we talk about oversimplifying things, some people think that all cops are bad. That is not right. But on the flip side of that, all cops are not good either. And that's what we need to understand. So when we say defend the police, the far right wingers always want to believe everything that the cops say and do is correct, and that's not true. There have been examples of police planting drugs on people, planting guns on people to try and arrest them. We know that civil asset forfeiture is a problem, where basically it's the cop's word against the person's word, and because the cops are supposed to have the moral authority, the legal high ground supposedly, then their word is taken over the word of the average citizen, and so the citizen now has to use their hard-earned money to defend themselves against what really there was no crime. That's what civil asset forfeiture says. The cops can basically say, "Hey, where'd all this money come from? Hey, I'm gonna take it," and you have to prove later that you weren't up to no good. So it used to be innocent until proven guilty, but with civil asset forfeiture, that goes out the window. So it's unconstitutional, and we need to get rid of that. Now, on the flip side, we said that was defend the police. Defund the police is a new phenomenon on the extreme left that says that basically, essentially, is trying to say you take away money from the police department. That way, they can't do the things that they've been doing to harm the community. And again, it needs to be nuanced, because we need to get rid of the bad police officers. Yes, they no longer need to be police, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we end qualified immunity. And what that would do is work wonders as far as making sure that the police officers that exist still are the best ones that are on the job. Make sure that training is good, because right now there's not enough training for police officers to know how to handle certain situations. And that's definitely true, especially as it pertains to the community policing or lack thereof. There are many communities of color with black people and Hispanics in this country that are policed by white officers, who generally bring whatever negative perceptions and attitudes they may have into the job, and it impacts their ability to do their jobs correctly. We see it every single day. We've seen it recently with the James Blake shooting. And it is basically a microcosm of this issue that we're having today. Now, whatever you may have thought of James Blake's his past, he may have gone to jail before, but whatever somebody may have done in the past does not have any relevance to this current situation. And if we're looking at the situation as we see it in video form, let's say James Blake went into his car. Let's assume that he was going to get something and assume that he was going to do something to the cop. Well, the cop shot him 7 times in the back. Okay, so to shoot a man in the back 7 times for what you think allegedly he may have, okay, that's one problem. But then in the aftermath of the riots and the shootings, the protests that are in Kenosha, Wisconsin at the because of this James Blake shooting, you've got the Kyle Rittenhouse, whatever his name is, the young white teenager who came across state lines with an AR-15 and shot and killed some people, and walks down the street past the police and is able to just go about his life. And now they arrested him the following day, but that's not the point. The point is, let's do a thought exercise. If a black male, 17 years old, came across state lines with an AR-15 walking down the street after having shot people, would he be able to walk past the police and just walk unabated and nothing happened to him? Absolutely not. It's a hypothetical, but I think we've seen enough instances of unarmed black people being shot by the police and white people, conversely, getting away with murder, like literally, and not being arrested, not being shot dead in the street. And so that ultimately is the crux of the matter. When we talk about defend or defund the police, it boils down to, how do we get the police to apply justice equally across the board? If a black man walks down the street with an AR-15 and can get shot dead in the street because of what we think he may do, but a white man under the same exact circumstances, can walk down the street and have no issues, then that's a problem. So when we talk about defunding the police, it's not making sure that police departments don't exist altogether. They still need to exist, but they don't need to do everything they're doing now. A police officer does not necessarily need to go and do a physical wellness check on somebody. That should be for the people that are actually in the mental health profession, and potentially have a police officer tag along as maybe protection for that person, or even have the mental health professional be armed themselves. But to have the police do all these different things that they're required to do, that they're asked to do, is stretching them too thin. And I think if we put them on the job of making sure they're solving crimes, murders, rapes, and I think if you end the drug war, that's another thing that will take some things off their plate and allow them to do a more effective job in a more targeted fashion. So at the end of the day, defend or defund the police is really it's a left or extreme left, extreme right argument that we don't need to have. Instead, what we need to talk about, how do we make more effective policing? We need to make sure that the police officers that are on the force right now, that are good police officers, get paid what they're worth, get paid. They're able to have the right career trajectory, career advancement that they need in order to stay focused and engaged on their jobs. And we need to just respect them more. But the ones that are rogue cops, let's make sure we get rid of qualified immunity. If they're guilty of shooting somebody unarmed in the streets and it's proven that they've abused their authority, they need to not only lose their job, but go to jail as well. And if we do that, then I think that will do wonders for not only just the job of policing, but also the communities that they police as well have more respect for the police. So let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think that defending or defunding the police is the answer, or do you kind of agree with me that it's more nuanced than that? It's not one or the other. We need to have a civilized, even-handed discussion on how we can make our society better. Let me know your comments and thoughts. And until next time, keep it real.